Hey guys, I'm back with another Genshin Impact video today. We'll be going over how to artifact or gear up our characters in a general sense. If you guys want a specific video for a specific character, please tell me in the comment section below and I'll try to provide you with generalized builds that you can do for that certain character that you would like to see. However, generally you can build however you want, so I'm just going to give you the mind to think for yourself on how to build your own character your own way. Anyway, let's jump straight into it. Before we get into the video, I forgot something. I forgot to thank you guys for so much support on the Bennett video. Really appreciate all the support on the Bennett video. Hopefully you really enjoyed that Bennett video, as yeah, I thought it was pretty good as well, and it seemingly so, as it kind of got the most views very quickly. But anyway, the first thing you need to know about the gearing system is that the flower and the feather always drop base HP plus HP and attack. So this will always give HP. As you can see, every single one of these is just HP, and every single one of these is plus attack. So what's important about these two slots is having really good substats. For example, this artifact is almost perfect because for your main DPS, you typically want to have attack percentage, crit damage, crit rate. However, this is kind of sad. This flat defense, it also percentage defense will be better, but even then, for attack dealer, you don't want this to be defense. You either want this to be elemental mastery, more damage, more flat attack, like attack with attack percentage, as you can roll the same stat. So having defense is kind of sad, but it's pretty decent on Noelle because she wants defense anyway. Well, every character wants a little bit of defense, but if you really want to optimize in the late game, you really want to squeeze out this last substat. And by the way, these substats are random. You can get whatever. You can get a lot of garbage ones. So you have to be able to decipher what is a good gear and what is not a good gear. And that is part of the hard thing about games like these, as because if you're at +0 on certain gears, they only show you 2, so you have to roll before, you have to spend more to know before. So getting 5-star gears, you get 3 options instead. So for example, this one has HP defense, energy recharge, which is really good for a support unit, as they want to be as tanky as possible with the HP defense and be able to ult as much as possible with the energy recharge. Same goes with the feather. It's very important to get the correct substat for them. For damage dealers, generally you want crit rate, attack, crit damage, and elemental mastery. For supports, you kind of still want the same thing. You want attack, crit rate, crit damage, and elemental mastery. But sometimes they're quite squishy. Sometimes some supports can be quite squishy, and you want a little bit of HP there. And yeah, these two can only have flat stats for their primary stats, so it doesn't matter what you get for these, as long as your substats are perfect. As you can see, some of these are not very strong. Like this defense, crit damage is good, but if these two were attacks, then this would be a really good general attacker DPS artifact. This one is pretty decent. It's got elemental recharge and mastery, so pretty good for a supporter set. This one is a mixed bag. It's okay. It's got crit rate and it's got attack, but then it's got HP and defense, so it's like good for a tanky damage dealer. So you can see what I'm getting at. This one is really good, as I rolled into a lot of crit damage, crit rate, attack. As you can see, this is a pretty good general damage, like DPS artifact. However, it gets a little bit spicy on the next one, the Hourglass, Sands of Eons. You can call it whatever you want. Sands of Eons, as you can see on the graphic that I have on the screen right now, it has a couple of choices. It can go into HP percent, defense percent, attack percent, elemental mastery, and energy recharge percentage for the primary stat. Ideally, you want this to be always attack, because generally the content right now is time-based. So time-based content means you want to have as much DPS as possible so you can finish them quickly, because they're time-based, and there's no content where it's sustain-based. So HP and defense are kind of sad roles, not gonna lie. And elemental mastery and energy recharge might sound like they're really good, right? But it's a lie, guys. It's not that good for a primary stat, because getting a high elemental mastery and recharge has diminishing returns, as you can just get them from your substat, and that's what I recommend. But if you need to, then do it as a crutch, because it's not good. Generally, you want the attack percentage on this. However, for heroes that scale off a certain stat, such as Barbara scaling off HP percentage, you might consider having a HP percentage here and there, or even Noelle can take your defense percentage here, as long as the substats are really good. So if you're running a support set, you want attack percentage, crit rate, crit damage, energy recharge, energy elemental mastery, whatever guys. If you're support, you kind of want the same, but maybe you can throw in a bit of HP substat in there. But yeah, basically this, for the Hourglass, you basically want to have attack percentage, guys. It's no question. You want your Hourglass to have attack percentage. I'm not saying that these other defense percentage stuff are useless, HP percentage stuff are useless, but they are they feel bad. They're not very good at the moment, because there is no content that wants you to clear it by living through it. If there was, it would be really good, but at the moment it's just about clearing it at a fast time. So you want as much DPS as possible and enough HP to not get one shot, basically, which is a bad game design. But moving on to the next one, which is the cup. Alright, the cup is a little bit more interesting, okay? So you get the normal HP percentage, defense, and attack percentage, but then you also again get elemental mastery. It's trash, don't do it. It's not worth to have a main stat as elemental mastery. You rather have it attack percentage, or one of these two. Elemental damage bonus, for example, geo damage bonus. This has a damage bonus for every single element, so amino, electro, not cryo at the moment, I believe. I think cryo isn't out yet, or I could be mistaken the wiki, but maybe not cryo. But I think there is cryo, actually. Never mind, there is cryo. There's pyro, and I don't know what the last element is. I forgot. But yeah, there's a damage bonus for every single element, which are very good, and also physical damage bonus. You want in the early game, you want to have attack percentage here, because getting these two are very difficult, and they scale extremely well the higher rating you get. So for example, for a 4-star percentage, physical damage bonus gives you way more physical bonus compared to just having raw attack. So if your if your main damage dealer is just mainly auto attacking, then you should have physical damage bonus on him. It does more damage. It basically just does more damage. The number is higher. However, you might see that the elemental damage bonus is the same. So why would you run elemental damage bonus over attack percentage? Is because of how the game's engine works. It actually does technically more. If you have a damage dealer that does just pure elemental of a type damage, right? Such as when you ulti or elemental burst with Noelle, she just suddenly does only geo damage for that duration. Then it amplifies how the game does all the calculations. I don't know. If you guys know the calculations, it just ends up doing more damage. So it's for the early game you want attack percentage, but later on you want to have high attack, whilst having also a lot of elemental damage bonus or physical damage bonus to amplify that high attack that you already have from like substats or anything to the next level. But still, you got to get your substats correct. So for main DPSs, you still want, primary stat, elemental damage, physical damage, or attack percentage. And with that, you want crit rate, crit damage. Crit rate, crit damage are very crucial in your substats. The next, if it's a damage dealer, then attack percentage, of course, energy recharge, elemental mastery. For supports, a little bit of HP, okay? The same thing, but with a HP. You see what I'm getting at. HP and defense kind of suck at the moment because there's no content where you just need to live, and there's no benefit of living compared to killing everything else, Alright, next thing, the crown. Okay, once again, it gets a little bit spicy on the crown as we get a few more elements that we can get as our primary stat, which are critical rate and critical damage and healing bonus. I say healing bonus is kind of bad, but if you want to live the dream of healing a lot, then just use it, right? It doesn't matter because, well, healing a lot is good, but at the moment, content-wise, healing a lot doesn't mean a lot because everything is time-based right now, and you want to do as much damage as possible. So basically, for this particular artifact set, this crown, you want attack percentage, crit rate, and crit damage. I mean, not even crit rate. Crit rate is bad because having a lot of crit rate it has diminishing returns. You want to have high crit rate and but not too high, because for example, if you have like 100% crit rate, you crit every time, but you sacrifice a lot for that. So you sacrifice a lot of attack percentage and crit damage, meaning you just do less damage. So you want to balance that out around, people say around 50%, right? So you want 50% crit rate, and then your crit damage to be double that, so 100% or even higher, or 150% of that, like 200%, something like that. And early game, for main DPSs, you want it to be attack percentage, okay? Because it's hard to find a crit damage. Later on, you just want this slot to be crit damage. You just want it to be crit damage, because you get 62% crit damage. That's a lot of crit damage. This is way more than attack, and crits are scale quite high. You've seen those highlight videos of people doing like 90,000 billion damage with Ningguang or Amber. It's because of crit damage, guys. It's because of crit damage. Late game, you want crit damage, but unfortunately, I haven't rolled any crit damage. So what I do is put, for Noelle, I put defense because she's really good. She can take the defense units. I've tested out the crit rate by, I've actually like leveled up a crit rate thing. It's kind of bad. Don't do it. It's not worth it, man. Unless you can pull off high crit damage and high attack with the crit rate, because like you're not getting any crit rate substats or anything like that. But this slot is mainly for the crit damage, or attack if it's really hard to find. And for the substat wise, you want the same thing. You want attack percentage, you want crit rate, crit damage, energy recharge, and elemental mastery, depending on what kind of DPS you are running. So you want more elemental mastery if he has a short cooldown like Bennett or Diluc, and you can spam his E. Otherwise, you want energy recharge if they have a really good ulti that you want to spam, or you just want more attack with flat attack and also attack percentage. But basically, hopefully this guide will help you out with what you need to do for how to progress your gear from early game to late game, and know what you should actually be farming for, because you shouldn't be stuck with triple attack percentage gears. It's good for the early game, but for the late game, you're looking for the crit damage and the elemental damage or physical damage in the cup slot and the crown slot, which will amplify your damage and do those ridiculous numbers that you've been seeing on those montages with like 10,000 or even 100,000 procs. Yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed that. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and peace out.